Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive you won't want to miss. We're cracking open 9 keys to liberation in life, a practical guide. And trust me, this is going to be good. We're talking less stress, more joy,
Yeah.
more of that feeling like you're really living your best life. And the coolest part, you can start using these insights right away.
You know, it's amazing how the Today's Merly document takes these big spiritual ideas and makes them so practical for everyday stuff. Like
Yeah.
we're talking about your health, relationships, career, money. It covers it all.
It's like a cheat sheet for navigating life, right?
Exactly. And the first key is all about going for that liberation in life feeling, and not like someday when everything's perfect I'm talking about right now. The Today's Merly document is big on letting go of those anxieties that just hold you back.
So it's like instead of getting stuck in that what-if spiral, we focus on what we can actually control right here, right now.
Exactly. Think about it. Worrying about your health doesn't magically make you healthy, right? It just makes you feel drained and less likely to actually take care of yourself.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? It's easy to say, don't worry, but actually doing it is way harder.
Well, the Today's Merly document uses this really cool analogy. It's like instead of obsessing over some crazy strict diet, you find fun ways to be healthy. Maybe it's dancing, taking a walk in nature, or even just taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's more about finding things you enjoy and can actually stick with instead of forcing yourself to do stuff you hate.
Exactly. It's about ditching the pressure and finding the joy in taking care of yourself.
Love it. It's
Uh,
not about depriving yourself. It's about finding what works for you and actually enjoying the process.
And that applies to relationships, work, money, everything. If you can free yourself from all that worry and negativity, you make space for good things to happen. You open yourself up to growth and real connection.
That's a perfect transition to key number 2, which is all about swapping out complaints for appreciation. The Today's Merly document calls it going from hi, which is like complaining, to wah, which is more like celebrating.
I love that. And the key to making that shift is gratitude. Being thankful even for the little things.
You mean like instead of beating yourself up for not hitting the gym for an hour, you celebrate taking a quick walk.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about making a choice to focus on the good stuff. And that actually gives you more energy and motivation to deal with the tough stuff.
It's like you're changing your mental focus to see the good, which then makes everything better.
You got it. And this brings us to the third key. It's all about using your inner treasures.
Inner treasures. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The Today's Merly document reminds us that we all have this wealth of knowledge, good qualities, and strengths inside us. Those are your treasures. This key is all about putting them to use.
So it's not enough to just have these strengths, but we got to actually use them.
Exactly. Like, let's say you're a natural problem solver, but you tend to overthink things. This key is saying stop overthinking and just start solving.
I feel that. It's like having a toolbox full of amazing tools, but never actually using them to build anything.
It's a common trap, right? And it applies to everything. Like, you can have all the relationship advice in the world, but if you don't actually practice empathy and listening, your relationships won't improve.
True. Knowledge without action is kind of useless.
Perfect analogy. And speaking of taking action, that brings us to key number 4. Self-transformation before world transformation.
Okay, this one feels super relevant these days. It's easy to get caught up in wanting to change the world, but forgetting to start with ourselves.
You're so right. The Today's Merly document is all about taking responsibility. You can't wait for other people to change or for the world to magically become perfect. It starts with us.
So like instead of complaining about a stressful job, we focus on what we can do to make things better at work.
Exactly. Maybe you take the initiative to suggest solutions or try new ways of working, or maybe you just focus on being a calm and positive presence.
So by changing ourselves, we actually end up having a positive impact on the world around us.
Absolutely. It's not about being selfish or ignoring the needs of others. It's about understanding that our own personal growth can inspire others to do the same.
Love that. It's like be the change you want to see in the world. And that leads us perfectly to the next key, which is about unity and diversity.
Mhm.
This one feels especially important in a world that can feel so divided.
You're telling me. The Today's Merly document really emphasizes that we're all different. We have different perspectives, experiences, but that doesn't mean we can't all get along.
It's more about finding common ground and celebrating the unique things that each person brings to the table.
Exactly. The Today's Merly document uses the example of a family with all kinds of different eating habits. They can still find ways to enjoy meals together, right? It's not about everyone being the same. It's about finding ways to connect and support each other, even when we're different.
That's so important. And it applies to everything, families, workplaces, even global communities.
Right.
Wow, we've already covered 5 incredible keys. What's standing out to you so far?
I think for me, it's the focus on actually doing something instead of just getting bogged down in worry or negativity. It's a good reminder that we have more control over our experience than we think.
I love that. And for me, it's the idea of celebrating those small wins and practicing gratitude even when things feel tough. It's such a simple shift, but it can make a huge difference. But hold on to those thoughts, because we've got 4 more keys to unlock. We'll be right back with part 2 of your personalized deep dive. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, you guys. We're diving right back in to unlock some more wisdom from these 9 keys.
Yeah, we're tackling keys 6 through 9 today. And let me tell you, things are about to get really interesting.
Buckle up, for sure. Let's jump right into key number 6, stay determined and concentrated.
Ooh, this is a big one for me. Starting projects with a burst of energy. No problem. Staying focused. That's where I struggle.
I hear you. The Today's Merle document is all about good intentions, but also about how those good intentions don't always translate to action. You got to put in consistent effort to turn those inspiring ideas into something real.
It's like that gym membership that you never use.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be fit, but without consistently going to the gym, you're not going to see results.
You know it.
Yeah.
And that's where determination and concentration come in. The Today's Merle document actually suggests scheduling specific times for the things that matter most to you. Could be exercise time with loved ones or working on that passion project you've been putting off.
So it's about taking control of your schedule and making sure those important things actually happen.
Exactly. Plus, when you break down those big, scary goals into smaller steps, it makes the whole journey feel less overwhelming and you stay focused on the progress you're making.
It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right. But even those bites can sometimes feel huge. What about even smaller, even more manageable steps?
That's a great point. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture. Sometimes we got to zoom in and focus on those tiny, consistent actions that add up over time. Maybe we can get into some specific examples as we go through the rest of these keys.
Sounds good to me. Let's move on to key number 7, overcoming the limited. The ego. This is one of the most powerful concepts. And you know what? It really does apply to every area of life. The Today's Merle document is all about letting go of that self-importance, and embracing humility instead.
So instead of being stuck in that my way or the highway mindset, we try to be more open to other perspectives.
Exactly. When we're trapped in our ego, we stop learning and growing. But when we come from a place of humility, we see things more clearly and can find solutions that work for everyone.
The Today's Merle document uses the example of a manager who's open to feedback from their team. It's about letting go of that need to be right all the time and creating a better environment for everyone.
Right, and that kind of humility can be so powerful, not just at work, but in our personal lives, too. When you're really listening to someone else, trying to understand their point of view, it creates such a stronger connection.
It reminds me of that quote, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." You never really know what someone else is going through.
That's a beautiful thought. And you know what? That leads us perfectly to key number 8. Be a living example, not just a lecturer.
Actions speak louder than words, right? This one really hits home for me.
Absolutely. Authenticity is key here. The Today's Merle document is saying, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Actually live those values you want to see in the world.
I love the example they used about financial discipline. Instead of lecturing people about budgeting, imagine just consistently managing your own money well. That example can inspire others to do the same.
Right. It goes beyond words. It creates this ripple effect of positive influence.
It's like you're showing people how it's done instead of just telling them.
Exactly. Now, before we move on to the final key, I'm curious, what are your first impressions of this be a living example principle?
It's so powerful, but it's also a little intimidating. It makes you realize that people are always watching and that your actions have a real impact on them.
That's a really good point. It's a call to be intentional with how we live and to be mindful of how our choices affect other people. But it's also about inspiring through action instead of just words. Okay, are you ready to dive into the 9th and final key?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
This last one is all about valuing each second and letting go of the past. It's such a beautiful way to wrap up all these keys.
It feels like a reset button, right? Like no more dwelling on regrets or those what-if thoughts that just keep playing in your head.
Precisely. The Today's Merle document reminds us that the past is gone. We can't change it, but we do have the power to shape our future starting right now.
It's a powerful reminder to stop focusing on what was and start focusing on what can be.
Yeah.
Embrace the present moment as a chance for positive change.
You got it. And the Today's Merly document uses some really relatable examples to illustrate this point.
Like that analogy about starting a new workout routine today, even if you missed a few sessions last week. It's like a reminder that it's never too late to start fresh to make healthier choices right now.
That's it. And that same idea applies to every area of life. How to fight with someone you love, apologize, forgive, and move on. Build a stronger relationship from this point forward.
Made a mistake with your finances? Adjust your budget. Get some advice and take steps toward financial stability starting today. No more dwelling on those past missteps.
Exactly. It's all about releasing that weight of the past and seeing the present moment as a fresh start. It's your chance to create a brighter future.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. What an amazing way to finish exploring these 9 keys. I feel like we've been given this incredible toolkit for creating more fulfilling life.
And the coolest part is that these principles can be applied to any situation. They can help us handle those challenges that life throws at us with so much more ease and resilience.
I agree. We've learned so much today, from finding those hidden strengths within ourselves to turning complaints into celebrations and embracing the power of the present moment. These 9 keys really do offer a path to a more joyful life.
I think so too. But before we wrap up this deep dive completely, we've got one more crucial part to explore. In part 3, we're going to talk about how we can actually integrate all of these principles into our everyday lives. Stay tuned because the best is yet to come.
All right, we are back for the final part of our deep dive into 9 keys to liberation in life, a practical guide. And you know what? We've talked about all this amazing wisdom, but now it's time for the fun part, putting these keys into action in our lives.
It's go time. The Today's Merly document is really clear about this. True liberation in life isn't some far-off thing. It's what you do every single day.
So it's less about reaching some perfect state and more about making those daily choices that line up with these principles.
Exactly. It's like any habit you're trying to build. Consistency is what makes it stick. It's those small, everyday actions that really add up to big changes.
Makes sense. But with 9 keys to work with, it can feel a little overwhelming. Where do we even start?
I hear you. The cool thing is these keys all kind of work together and build on each other. Remember, the first key going for liberation in life right now, that's the foundation.
So you don't have to wait for the perfect time or situation. We can start bringing these principles into our lives today, even in little ways.
You got it. And don't feel like you have to tackle all 9 keys at once either. Pick 1 or 2 that really speak to you and start there.
Maybe it's working on swapping complaints for appreciation or really using those inner treasures we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. And remember those bite-sized actions we mentioned. Break down each key into something you can actually manage. Like, instead of trying to change your whole diet, maybe you start by adding an extra serving of veggies to your meals each day.
Or if you're trying to be a living example, maybe it's being a better listener, really paying attention to your loved ones without interrupting or giving advice they didn't ask for.
I love those. And don't forget to celebrate those small wins as you go. Every step forward, no matter how tiny it is worth celebrating.
It's like giving yourself a little pat on the back. You know, it helps to keep that motivation going.
So true. And as you start incorporating these keys into your life, you might notice that some of them resonate with you more than others. That's totally fine. It's all about finding what works for you and making it your own.
So it's less about following strict rules and more about taking these principles and adapting them to your own life.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey, not a race. You're going to have moments when you slip up or fall back into old habits. It happens to everyone.
The important thing is to just get back up, dust yourself off, and keep practicing those things that bring you closer to that liberated and fulfilling life,
Beautifully said. And you don't have to go it alone either. Share these keys with the people you love, build a support system, and encourage each other as you go.
This has been such an incredible journey. We've gone from uncovering those amazing qualities we all have inside to turning complaints into celebrations and really embracing the power of the present moment. These 9 keys really do offer a path to more joy in life.
I think so too. And remember, true liberation isn't about avoiding the challenges of life. It's about facing them with more grace and inner peace.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we encourage you to take these keys, experiment with them, and discover for yourself the power they have to unlock a life filled with purpose, connection, and joy.
You have everything you need within you to create the life you want. Go out there and make it happen.
Thanks for joining us on this amazing journey. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep seeking out that wisdom. And remember that liberation in life is closer than you think.